again, you holding gun, crying after crying, many people die, you holding gun, promise after lying, lying after die, you holding gun, crying after crying, many people die, you holding gun, children now are dying, suffering and crying, holding gun.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Huda TV's continued political coverage of the humanitarian crisis now going on in Syria. We have decided to extend our originally planned 10-day campaign in a show of solidarity with the people of Syria. Please give us a call live now, 002-0238, 555-248 or 249. That's 002-02 38, 555-248 or 249. Give us a call, especially if you are in Syria or you are Syrian or you know somebody there and you can recount some true stories to us. Or if not, if you just have some thoughts that you would like to share with us and the rest of our viewers, please feel free to give us a call during this program. I'd like to start this program by going through some of the news that we've seen today and recently in the AP press. One interesting piece of news I found that I want to share with the viewers is that the Prime Minister of Turkey, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has accused the UN Security Council of supporting the oppression of the Syrian people by failing to unite on Syria. And I believe that is a very interesting comment, especially coming from a man, with all due respect, the Prime Minister of a country, Turkey, who has enjoyed the most cozy relations with the Zionist regime of occupied Palestine, Israel, as well as America. I mean, it's almost an insult to the intelligence of our viewers when we hear this from the Turkish Prime Minister, who for years Turkey has enjoyed a very cozy military relationship with Israel. And of course, the American air base at Incirlik is very huge. And we can't forget, the Americans bombed Iraq through Turkey. So I'm glad to hear that the Prime Minister said those statements, but we hope that he puts those statements into action instead of playing a duplicitous game at the expense of the Muslim people of Syria, as it seems the whole world is doing, the Europeans, Americans, and Arabs themselves. He went on to say that the UN Security Council is standing by with its hands and arms tied while the Syrian people are dying every day. That couldn't be more true. Of course, we have seen UN reports of over 10,000 civilian deaths thus far in Syria. Previously, we talked about in a previous program the ineffectiveness, incapacity, and the lack of will of the international community to do anything in Syria. We focused on the United States, the United Nations, the European Union, NATO, who were so quick to bomb Libya. They were so quick to invade Iraq twice. They were so quick to liberate Kuwait, so quick to bomb Afghanistan. But all of a sudden, they're mum on Syria. Why? Well, that's an excellent question. What I believe, and I'm sure most of our viewers agree with me, is because their interests aren't there. Unfortunately, as we see in Libya, there's a lot of oil there, and I think they benefited tremendously from bombing Libya, unfortunately. In another piece of interesting news, right off the AP press, Russia claims that Syria has promised to pull its forces out of its major cities by the 10th of April. Now, this just seems like more lies to me, doesn't it? Because as we know, Russia enjoys a warm relationship with Syria as well. They enjoy a warm water naval base in Syria. They've had a long relationship as well, so I don't think that these words are worth even taking into consideration. Let's move to what the Arabs have done themselves. I think oftentimes we as Muslims, we complain and we talk about the ineffectiveness and the bias of the Western countries towards Islam and Muslims, but let's take a look at the Arab League themselves. Now, if they weren't completely ineffective, incoherent, incompetent, and worthless before this whole thing in Syria and the Arab Spring as a whole, then certainly we can't take them seriously afterward, can we? But I will go back to that thought after we take this call from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Do you have a caller on the line from Nigeria?
Yes, assalamu alaikum, ya Sheikh.
Alaikum salam, brother. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
What is your opinion concerning the Arab Spring in general and the Syrian situation in particular, sir?
Wallahi, the Syrian situation, we the Muslims all over the world, most especially in Nigeria, we sympathize with our Muslim brothers and sisters in Syria. And what I want to advise the Syrians people to do is to go back to Allah. You understand? They have to go back to Allah, most especially the dua. Part of the listen is part of the war is to Allah. They have to go back to Allah solely, because if the people in America, UN, whatever, all those people, they are hypocrites. Sincerely, they are hypocrites.
I agree with you, brother.
When you look at what happened in Libya, when Gaddafi started, when did the Gaddafi start this in bombing the people? Immediately they're rushing and they enter Libya. So what is happening in Libya? Since when? This war has started massacring, killing innocent people, and they are not doing anything. They will say, we are doing one meeting or the other. They have the power that they can go into Syria. In short, they have the power that they can call the Syrian president that, see, come down or do this. They have the power, they can do it. It's just hypocrisy, this in way of doing things. It's only Allah. May Allah save the Muslim Ummah, and may Allah protect us and guide us, most especially in this situation and in this trial time. We should all go back to Allah, wallahi.
Thank you so much, brother, for your thoughts. I couldn't agree with you more. I think the main point is that we have to go back to our deen, and perhaps this can be a wake-up call. As we see many people in the Middle East calling for democracy, secularism, and a Western way of life, well, look what the Western world has left us with. They have left us with destruction, death, invasions, and bombing, and they don't seem to care at all about it. Let me talk a little bit about, thank you very much, brother, for your call. Let me talk a little bit about the Arab nationalism. I think this is an important role. I think now people, in the headlines we see Syria, Syrians. What is a Syrian? Who created Syria? What is someone from Lebanon? What is an Egyptian or a Tunisian or an Algerian? Now we see the European Union fighting to create a federation in identity. They even have a flag with blue and yellow stars, and they say we're European, even though they have so many different languages and religious beliefs, German, French, Greek, Italian, but they are fighting to try to create a false unified union and identity. Whereas here in the Middle East, the Arabs have a common language, a common religion, a common culture, but no, they won't even unite on any of those terms. Instead, they say we're Syrians or we are Egyptians. Well, this is the result. This is what we get. I once asked a man, he wasn't Arab, he wasn't Syrian. I said, what do you think about the situation in Syria? He said, it's not my problem. I can't deal with it. It's not my country. If it's not your problem and you don't want to deal with it and it's not your country, then what is your country? Syria is your country. They are Arabs, they are Sunni Muslims. If they aren't your country, then who is? I think this is a wake-up call for all of us Muslims all around the world to stick together and to fight our common enemies together. We have a call on the line. Assalamu alaikum. Go ahead, brother. I believe we lost that call. I'm sorry. Please give us a try back. Let me just remind you with the phone number 002-02-38-555-248 or 249. That's 002-02-38-555-248 or 249. While I'm waiting for your phone calls, please, let's take a look at some news from the AP Press. Of course, Jacob Kellenberger, who is the head of the Red Cross, is frantically trying to find a way to get his aid workers into Syria to help these dead and wounded civilians. Now let's take a look at that, the Red Cross. Once again, the internet, where are the Muslim organizations? I mean, I'm laughing because it's sad. Why is Jacob Kellenberger, this man, is he Muslim? He's not even Muslim. He's the head of the Red Cross. And here he is working harder to help the Muslim people of Syria than most Muslims. I think it's a tragedy, and I certainly hope this is a wake-up call for Muslims all around the world, not just in the Middle East. Let's move to the UN. I think we have some recent news regarding the UN and Kofi Annan that is very interesting and laughable at best. It's sad, but I want to share that with you right after this short break. You guys stay tuned and don't forget to give us a call live on Huda TV's coverage of the Syrian massacre. Stay tuned for more.
Children now are dying, suffering and crying, holding them, you holding them.
Dear viewers, Huda programs can be watched in the English section of the in-flight entertainment directory on board all Saudi airline flights, domestic and international. Sit back, relax and enjoy watching Huda's entertaining and enlightening shows on your trip. Huda wishes you a safe and successful journey. Huda, a light in every home.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah, or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Ask Hoda.
Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda.
I have two questions.
Please go ahead. You can read it in Arabic and you can also understand the meaning in your own language. The different tafsir and the interpretation of the meanings of the Quran are available in almost every language that exists on earth by the grace of Allah. The water of Zamzam is for whatever intention you drink it with. Salih from Egypt, his father has the way and he asked about how can he help him. Very good question.
Can we give a zakat to any of the dawah centers?
The ibadah or the act of worship is a part of the unity of worship. It has to be paid to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in accordance with the guidance of his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Children now are die suffering and cry, you holding them, you holding them.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Huda TV's political coverage of the humanitarian crisis in Syria. We'd like to remind you with our phone number 0020238 555 248 or 249. Please give us a call and share your thoughts, your concerns, and your support, most importantly for the people of Syria. I believe we have a call, Ayman from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, brother Ayman.
Alaikum salam. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for calling in, Ayman. What is your opinion regarding this disaster in Syria?
Well, my opinion, I think this President Bashar al-Assad, he's not a good president. He's selfish. He wanted to separate Syrians and both of the two groups together. He's not a good president. But what I think, why he doesn't in Syria country, especially Muslim people, they don't be together to solve this problem. I want to ask another question also. How can we make people in Syria take care from their countries? How can we make them choose their good president? And what's the difference between Shia and Syria and
Excellent. Thank you very much, Brother Ryan, for your call and for your question. Unfortunately, I'm not a sheikh, so I can't really answer the question regarding the difference between Sunni and Shia. And regarding your comments about President Bashar al-Assad or supposed president, of course, he's not just a bad president. I think the man is a criminal that should be definitely put to trial and even executed for, the death of 10,000 civilians. When we find on the UK Guardian, when he said him and his wife spent $10,000 on candles. I think this is a tragedy. Before the break, I had talked about Mr. Kellenberger, the head of the Red Cross. He had asked, I'm laughing because it's comical. He said we are looking to implement a 2-hour ceasefire a day. I think that this issue of the 2-hour ceasefire is comical as well. A 2-hour ceasefire is not going to help anything, but may Allah help the people of Syria any way possible. Also, I mentioned the UN. Kofi Annan was a special envoy to the UN, and he was there negotiating a so-called peace treaty with Bashar al-Assad. He should have been there to arrest him, not to. After 10,000 civilians have been killed, then the UN sends a special envoy to talk about a possible peace. It's an insult to people, not just Muslims. It's an insult to people all around the world that 10,000 people can be killed, and this man is still considered dealt with as a legitimate head of state. That's a joke. May Allah help us all. And may Allah bring us a real international body that can solve real problems and not these fake organizations like the Arab League and the UN. Of course, as you know, also in the news, the uncle of the Syrian so-called President Bashar al-Assad believes that it is unlikely he can hold on to power any longer. Well, we certainly hope so, and we certainly hope that the Syrian people achieve victory and success and prevail in this situation very soon. Of course, his uncle, Rafat al-Assad, has lived in exile since the 1980s, when the Muslim Brotherhood tried to unsuccessfully seize power. So I think he knows all about the brutality of the Hafiz Assad and Bashar al-Assad regime. Of course, as many people may remember, Bashar al-Assad's father Hafiz bombed homes continuously in 1982 in the month of February, and he killed many, many, many civilians. And it seems that his sons, many years later, 30 years later, has done the same thing, possibly in honor of his father's terrible crimes. He has repeated them himself. I believe we have a caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for calling. Share with us your thoughts about the situation in Syria.
Yeah. See, regarding the Arab League, what they say, I call it a bunch of people without brain, without
Me
making
too.
any decisions. You know, when they want to bomb peoples in Iraq, the whole peoples in the Arab world, they supported.
Exactly.
Now, when they don't want to take any decision regarding Syria, these peoples are just watching like idiots.
I agree.
Like the Muslims' blood is being massacred in Afghanistan, in Syria. These peoples are just watching.
They're a bunch of
They don't
agents and
have
hypocrites.
anything. They don't. The only thing I suggest them that they have to wear bangles and sit down at home rather than discussing in five-star hotels and enjoying.
You know, I'm laughing because I couldn't agree with you more. I like the way you put it. As long as they sit in five-star hotels and they enjoy everything and wear their jalbabs, everything is going well. It doesn't matter who's getting killed.
Exactly. You know, it has to be scrapped. What is this? They're calling themselves as Arab League Federation and all. But what powers they have?
I agree with you more. I believe, in my personal opinion, the Saudi Arabian government and the Gulf governments, they have exposed themselves time and time again to be big hypocrites and just big agents of the Jews and the Americans. But that's my personal opinion.
Definitely. They're just following. They're just bothered about their chairs.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Of course, we saw Qatar actually, was supporting the NATO bombing of Libya. You know, it's all hypocrisy, and I certainly wish Allah give us a better organization.
Exactly. We are just watching. We are having fun.
Well, what do you see? Do you see a positive outcome for the Arab Spring in general, brother?
You know, they are all. What I am telling you, they are all afraid because just they are seeing the situation in Tunisia, they are seeing the situation in Libya, they are seeing the situation in Yemen. They are just upset. They just want to retain the chairs. They
I believe
so
you.
much afraid. You know, anything positive step they take, they will going to lose their chairs.
Of course, they are agents of the CIA and the Mossad. I believe that, and I believe the Arab Spring possibly may have been engineered by then. Thank you so much for your call, brother. I believe we have another call on the line.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. I believe you have another caller on the line as well. Laila from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sister. What is your opinion concerning this situation in Syria?
Regarding what you said at the beginning of the program, about nobody's helping Syria and these people, they are just sitting or whatever. I just have a message to Syrian people, that the help and the victory comes only from Allah. They have to be patient, and inshallah, soon they will have this victory. Because as we know, nobody proud wins over Allah. They are very proud. They made themselves bigger than Allah. So akid, for sure, Rabbil Alameen, the God will give them the victory. So I just want them to be patient, and inshallah, all our prayers and all our hearts will go to Syria.
Thank you so much, sister. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that the key to this is going back, like a lot of the Bosnians said, after the war, they said, we woke up and we realized who our allies were and that we are Muslims and this is our identity. And I certainly hope after this situation in Syria that people wake up in the Middle East and say, we are Muslims and we are together and we stand by each other and we don't wait for organizations that are our friends to help us, and we don't wait for hypocritical governments across Arab capitals to help us. We will do it ourselves, and we will elect people and move forward in a better direction after this. Of course, freedom doesn't come easy. It comes with a price, and we have to fight for it. So I applaud the people of Syria, and I just hope that this, inshallah, stay steadfast, and you will achieve your goals, inshallah. I don't think that the so-called president of Syria can last much longer. I don't think anybody can. That is why he is there signing peace deals with Kofi Annan. I think it's only a matter of time before things collapse and things change for the better in the Middle East. And of course, I believe the Israeli Foreign Minister of Defense, Amos Gilad, said in February, he said, the destruction or the fall of the Syrian regime, the al-Assad regime, means the beginning of the end for Israel. Let me say that again. Take pride, Syrian people. The Foreign Minister of Israel said, of Defense said, in February, Amos Gilad, he said on Israeli radio clearly, the fall of the al-Assad regime is the end of Israel itself. So stay steadfast. You guys are doing something that the whole Arab world hasn't been able to do since the creation of the so-called State of Israel. We have a caller from Nigeria on the line. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Mr. Muhammad, how are you doing today, sir? What is your opinion concerning the Syrian situation?
Yeah, the situation in Syria is quite obvious, brother. It's quite clear that these people do not have the interest of Islam at heart. And what my advice to the Syrian people, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, your advice to the Syrian people is what?
Yeah, I said my advice to the Syrian people is for them to clear their iman, for them to have the fear of Allah, and to understand that success and victory comes only from Allah. And they should understand, if you look at Surah Al-Buruj, you will understand that Allah told us about the tyrant that burnt the Muslim alive. He burnt them, he set a fire for them, and he burnt them alive. To him, he thought he was successful. To him, he thought he was victorious. What did Allah tell us? Allah said clearly that it was the Muslims that are victorious. So victory is not in killing those people. Victory really is how Allah looks at victory. As long as the Syrian people have their iman intact, they should understand that they are fighting to keep their iman. They are not fighting for the democracy. They should not be fighting for democracy. They should fight to ensure that they die as al-Sunnah. They died as the Sunnis. They should not die because they want to entrench democracy in Syria. They should make sure that what they are fighting for is to ensure that they die on the straight path. And that is my clear advice to them.
Thank you, Brother Muhammad from Nigeria. I believe we all heard your advice loud and clear. I think this is a constant theme that all the callers are sharing. They're saying, rely on Allah, be steadfast in your faith in Allah, go back to Allah, and don't wait for any governments anywhere in the world, whether it's in Cairo, Riyadh, the Gulf, the United States, or Western Europe for that matter. Don't wait for anyone. Just put your faith in Allah. This is a test, and I think that the outcome will be much better. Will be much better than before, and all of these sacrifices will produce a great result. Freedom doesn't come easy, inshallah, and you will reach your goal, and we'll make a new face to the Middle East. We'll make a new face to the Islamic world, and a new future for our children and for future generations. It hasn't been easy, I think, throughout the Arab world. The last 30, 40 years have been ruled by totalitarian governments. Before that, colonialism. It's now time to stop complaining and take matters into our own hands. And this is what I believe the Syrian people are doing, just like the Tunisians did, just like the Egyptians did, just like they did in Yemen and are doing in Yemen and across the Arab world. We can't wait for anybody else. We can't ask anybody else to help us. We have to do it ourselves. So I believe this is a step in the right direction. As we see also in the AP today, various Syrian opposition groups have put aside their differences and accepted to work together under the umbrella of the Syrian National Council. I think obviously that is a necessary step, and how can we achieve if the opposition groups are fragmented themselves? We are already divided enough. We shouldn't even be Lebanese and Egyptians and Syrians. We should be Muslims. We can't even be Arabs. We have to divide ourselves. Syria is already a result of the Sykes-Picot Treaty, is a divided nation. Are we going to divide it more? Are we going to allow oppressors and dictators and foreign governments to divide us more? Or will we take destiny into our own hands and rely on the will of Allah and other Muslim brothers and people who are willing to cooperate with us? I certainly hope that this situation improves, and I am confident it will. I remember 2 years ago I said to myself, I'm tired of living in the Middle East. Nothing's going on. These people are sleepwalking. These Arabs are too scared to rise up against their governments. I sincerely felt that way. And I don't mean to offend the Arab viewers, but that's how I felt. But now, 2 years later, I'm proud to live in the Middle East. I'm very happy about the recent events. I couldn't be prouder of the Arab Spring, of all the people across the Middle East. And I certainly hope the Syrian people continue on the steadfast path. You are almost there. And let me remind you before we end this program with the words of the Israeli Foreign Minister of Defense, Amos Gilad, who said clearly on Israeli radio in February, he said, the end of Israel the end of the Al-Assad regime means and marks the beginning of the end for Israel. And it brings a smile to my face because I haven't heard this type of comments before, and I believe it is, inshallah, the beginning of the end for the state of Israel. We have Abdul from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Alaikum salam.
Brother, what is your opinion concerning the humanitarian crisis and political situation in Syria?
I want the Muslim brothers who are going for the peace conference in Dubai to pray for the Syrian people. There's a peace conference coming up on the 12th and 14th in Dubai. I want the Muslim brothers to pray for the Syrians. And then I also wish to remind you that the Arab League is like a football team. They are not a Muslim league, Arab League. So you should know that one. Thank you.
That's an excellent point, an excellent reminder. Brother Abdul from Nigeria said the Arab League is more like a football team. They're not concerned with the Muslim. They're not concerned with the Muslim problems, I guess, or they don't appear to be. So let's not rely on them anymore, and let us start a new organization and a new way forward. Because the Arab League, the UN, this is all security councils with 5 countries that determine the affairs of the world. The Arab Leagues with their jababs and they sit and drink coffee in 5-star hotels. This is the way of the past. The people in the Middle East have spoken. They want a new future and a better future, and one based on Islamic principles. And we hope, inshallah ta'ala, that this happens and happens soon. But like I said, freedom doesn't come easy. It takes a price. So people of Syria, people all around the Middle East, Muslims all around the world, stick steadfast to your deen, rely on Allah, and remember that victory is near. I certainly hope that we don't have to make programs like this anymore. I hope we have a happier note and happier things to talk about. I hope we do a program in 1 year that talks about the new Islamic Republic of the Middle East or something like that. So until next time, don't lose faith. Stay steadfast on your deen. And I leave you in the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We feel so ashamed holding gun again, you holding gun, you holding gun. Crying after crying, many people die, you holding gun, you holding gun. Promise after lying, lying after die, you holding gun, you holding gun. Children now are dying, suffering and crying, holding gun, you holding gun.